Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and back to another Urban Calisthenics workout of my full body calisthenics routine. In today's session, I'm excited to bring to you a full body calisthenics workout using a small amount of floor space, some wall space, and potentially a box or a chair. In the routine, I have for you 5 exercises for which you'll be doing 45 seconds of work with 15 seconds of rest for a total of 4 rounds. That's 20 minutes in total. And as always, make sure you practice those instructionals before getting stuck in alongside a thorough warm-up. And I will leave a link in the description below for a warm-up that I feel is suitable for this routine, but by all means, do one of your own. That's enough from me. Let's see what's in store. So for our wall walks, you're going to start by setting your hands out in front of your shoulders, bringing your feet up onto the wall and moving into a hollow body position. You're going to make sure the shoulders are stable, the abs are pulled in and the pelvis is tucked under, and make sure that the hips start just above the line of the shoulders. From here, you're going to make your way into the wall by weight shifting to one hand, releasing the weight off the other hand and bringing it back. You'll notice at the same time, I bring one foot up the wall. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm going to weight shift to the left side, bring the right hand back and step up the wall. So you're going to lock in that shape every time you move, keeping the shoulders stable. As you get to this vertical position here, make sure the shoulders stay high. Once you lock in that top position, you're going to make your way forwards by doing the same thing, weight shifting and then releasing the hand, but most importantly, holding that hollow body position as you move. So if this is too challenging, what you can do is grab yourself a box or even a chair, pop your feet onto the box. You're going to set up in the same way as you would your wall walks. So making sure that the shoulders are stable, hands out in front of the shoulders, ribs pulled in and pelvis pulled under. As you're walking into the box this time, the feet are not going to move. So you're going to be walking into a pike position. I'm going to weight shift to one hand as we did on the wall. Press hard through that shoulder, bring that hand back. Shift to the lower hand. Push hard through that shoulder, bring that hand back. And you're going to keep going to the point where if the legs start to bend, that's going to be your stopping point. So keep those legs as straight as possible. And I'm going to weight shift, move, weight shift, move, weight shift, move. All the way back into that dish position. So for your seated L-sits, you're going to start by forming a square between your hands and your feet. I want you to make sure that your knees pretty much stack the heels, but most importantly, your shoulders will be stacking the wrists. And if you have any problems putting pressure on the wrists, I advise just turning the hands out ever so slightly. But from this position, you're going to start by lifting your backside off the floor. And now we're going to work on pulling the hips behind the arms while simultaneously bringing the shoulders forwards and compressing the floor. So the hips come back, I'm pressing down through the floor, keeping the shoulders down and bringing the hips behind the arms. Once I'm at the end point, the intention is to take as much weight out the feet as you possibly can to the point where you might even be able to lift the legs. Once in that position, the feet come back in contact with the floor and then you bring the hips back towards the feet. So that's essentially your recovery position between reps. So again, pulling the hips back, compressing the floor, bringing the shoulders forwards, keeping the arms straight. Can't go any further now, so I'm going to extend the legs, land the feet, and take the hips back towards the feet. And again, if you're struggling bringing the feet off the floor, don't worry about it. What you can do is just extend the legs and just take as much weight out the feet as you possibly can. So for the push-up to pike press combination, you're going to start by moving into a support position. And for this drill, I like to set my hands to slightly wider than shoulder width. From here, I'm going to have the shoulders slightly forwards of the wrists, The shoulders round and stable, the ribs pulled in and the pelvis tucked under. From here, you're gonna move into a push-up position, moving the whole body as one, taking the head forwards and bringing the arms towards the body. Once you reach your end range, you're gonna push out strong, keeping the shoulders round, and very gently, we're gonna hop into our pike position. Now, when you meet that pike position, you're gonna make sure that the heels are high and you're keeping your legs as straight as possible. If you can't straighten your legs because your hamstrings are tight, you can simply take a step back if you wish. As you perform the pike press, the intention is to take the head forwards, bringing the arms in towards the body, touching the head on the floor if it's possible, and pushing out strong. From here, I'm gonna hop back into our support position, ready for the push-up once again. So a full range push-up, round the upper back, keep the weight on the shoulders, hop the feet forwards into the pike position, and work into your pike press. So if either of these drills are too challenging, what you can do is get yourself a prop such as a yoga block, set it out in front of the hands. This will work for both drills so that when you work into your pike press, we have a point of reference and we travel less distance. Same as if we work into our push-up, we also have a point of reference there. So we're simply traveling less, but it's a good way of measuring our distance when working into each press. So for level one of the tuck rocks, you're going to start by moving into a seated position with the legs bent, bringing the arms out in front of the chest. From here, you're going to push away as hard as you can, keeping the upper back as round as possible, drawing the belly button into the spine with a slight pelvic roll. From here, the intention is to roll back very smoothly, but without making contact with the shoulders, and then making your way back to this position. So very slowly, we're going to roll back, lifting the feet off the floor, and then back into our top position. Notice how, as I roll, there's no flattening of the spine. It's a nice, smooth roll. And I almost want you to feel that you are using your abdominals as a way of controlling that shape. So really pulling the abs in as you work into that roll. So for level two of the tuck rocks, you're going to start by moving onto your back into a tuck position. Knees sit over the hips. The arms come to a forwards position, but if you want to advance this, you can bring the arms to an overhead position. But for now, I'll bring the arms forwards. From here, I'm going to start by moving forwards and backwards, drawing the belly button into the spine and covering a very small section of the lower back without allowing the shoulder blades to come into contact with the floor. As I said, if you want to make this harder, we send the arms to an overhead position, so you have to work really hard to maintain that shape all the way through. And finally, for variation number 3 of our tuck rocks, all we're going to do is to add in a stab of the legs following every tuck rock that we do. So still in that tuck position with the shoulders off the floor. Again, this can be done hands forwards, hands overhead. But from here, I'm going to be stabbing the legs out and moving into a full dish. Still with the intention of keeping those rolls as smooth as you possibly can without putting any weight on the shoulder blades. So really pushing tall with the arms in this variation and trying to keep the arms as near to the floor as you possibly can. So for the straight to W, you're going to start by lying on your front, feet in contact with the floor, and we're going to start by moving into the W position. So for the W position, you're trying to send your arms out to the side, elbows at around about 90 degrees, and sending your hands as high as possible, so getting the hands above the line of the elbows. So I really want you to think about engaging your back and squeezing the back of the shoulders to maintain that height. From here, what we're going to do is to scoop down to bringing the head to the floor, and then we're going to reach our straight position. Again, with the straight position, you're trying to get the hands as high as possible, crushing the head with the arms and trying to elevate the shoulders as best you possibly can. Again, we're going to scoop down again to reach that W, squeezing the back in that top position, scooping down to reach the straight. Now, just before we kick things off with the workout, I just want to let you know that if you want to gain access to the full Urban Calisthenics library, then head over to urbancalisthenics.com, where you can access over 100 calisthenics workouts with a new workout added every single week for just $4.99 a month. You can also take advantage of a 7-day free trial with no commitments and no payments up front. Now let's get into the workout. Thanks so much for taking part in this Urban Calisthenics workout. I hope you had a great time challenging yourself and breaking a sweat. If you did find this workout useful and beneficial, please give me a like, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. If you do want to gain access to the full Urban Calisthenics library, please visit urbancalisthenics.com, where you can gain access to over 100 workouts with a new workout added every single week for just $4.99 a month. Keep up the great work, stay motivated, and I'll see you on the next workout.